AI is colliding with the labor market in a way that's getting hard to ignore. Meta is reportedly planning sweeping layoffs that could affect around a fifth of the company. The explanation being floated is familiar. AI infrastructure is expensive, and the company wants to offset the cost while pursuing greater efficiency through AI-assisted work. Whatever happens next, this is the kind of story that changes how employees hear every AI transformation message. Because once the biggest brands start pairing AI investment with job cuts, the workforce assumes the two are connected. Even when leaders insist it's more complicated, the association sticks. Welcome to Paper Cut. Let's start with how AI is landing inside workplaces right now. One of the most useful pieces of research this week comes from MetLife's employee study. It describes a workforce that is both optimistic about AI's efficiency gains and worried about the risks. That combination is the heart of the modern workplace mood. People don't necessarily oppose AI. They oppose uncertainty, and they're increasingly wary of how the technology changes expectations. The important thing is what happens after adoption. In many organizations, tools make it easier to produce something quickly, but they don't automatically make work calmer. They can raise the tempo. They can increase switching. They can create a second job, checking and correcting outputs and taking responsibility for what the tool did. That's why stories about brain fry land. They're often crude, but they're pointing at a real experience. Work that feels faster but less finished. Lots of activity, fewer uninterrupted hours, more output, more checking. When the day becomes generate, verify, revise, escalate, it can feel like you never get to shut the mental tabs. And the reality check from software teams matters too. When AI tools underperform in real use, the result isn't just disappointment. It's rework. It's the cost of cleaning up errors, the cost of debugging, the cost of making sure a plausible answer is actually correct. If leaders assume the time savings are already banked, they can raise output expectations too early, and then employees pay for it in pressure. Now layer in the talent side. Younger workers are being more direct about what they want, and it's less about perks and more about progress. If early career employees can't see development, they treat the job as a holding pattern. If they can't see mobility, they treat culture talk as noise. At the same time, employers are describing talent shortages and engagement decline. That combination is a warning. It suggests a mismatch between what organizations say they need and what they're willing to offer in return. Coaching, pathways, and fair access to opportunity. For employer brand leaders, this is the simplest test. Can you describe growth in plain language? What does progression look like in 12 months? How do people get mentored? How do they get chosen for stretch work? If the answers are vague, candidates will assume the company grows by extraction, not development. Now let's talk about risk and cost, because this is where many AI programs quietly fail. There are two questions showing up more often. One is whether OpenAI models are worth the risk. The other is whether token economics are going to blow up budgets. These aren't just IT questions. They are workplace questions. If a company shifts toward open models, employees will want to know what's allowed, what's approved, and what data can be touched. If a company is spending heavily on AI, leaders will look for proof, and proof often turns into pressure if governance is unclear. The organizations doing this well are making the rules legible. They're not burying guidance in a policy PDF. They're defining a small set of practical behaviors. What's safe, what's banned, what must be verified, and who owns escalation when something goes wrong. Then we get back to the headline, layoffs. Meta is the big one, and it's notable because it turns AI costs into a workforce story in the most direct way. But it's not the only workforce movement worth watching. There are also stories about redundancies expected across a meaningful share of organizations, and examples of companies rehiring some people after layoffs, which reminds us that restructuring often isn't a clean narrative. It's messy. It unfolds in phases. And employees read every phase as a clue about stability. That's the employer brand risk in 2026. People aren't only reacting to what happened. They're reacting to what they think is coming. If you want to keep trust, you need specificity. If you're cutting, explain what's changing, why, and what support exists. If you're hiring in other areas, say where growth is real. If you're pushing AI adoption, explain what good looks like and how people are supported to get there. Because the workplace mood right now is not waiting for another promise. It's waiting for rules it can trust. Thanks for tuning in to Paper Cut. Don't let Monday catch you off guard. Subscribe now. See you next week.